Welcome to episode 389 of the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the Carolina Panthers and whether or not they will be trading for Deshaun Watson and what that really means for Deshaun Watson, what it means for the Texans, what it means for the Panthers as well. But before getting into that topic, question for the video for you Panthers fans and NFL fans in general. Who is the all-time leading rusher in yards for the Carolina Panthers? If you know the answer, comment it below. But if you do not worry. I will reveal the answer at the end, so just make sure you stay tuned. But getting into this topic, it has been rumored that the Panthers are kind of freeing up some cap space to be able to sign and trade for Deshaun Watson. They have released one of their veteran defensive linemen, Kawan Short. He's a great D tackle, however, he has a great injury history. So either way, if this is for Deshaun or not, I do understand the release because it frees up cap space for no matter what you're trying to aim for, whether it be Deshaun or something in the draft or someone in free agency. And he's just too injury prone recently. I get this move, but for them to release their safety, Trey Boston, who has great talent and is pretty much the leader, I'd say, in their secondary. I don't know if he's a leader, but I do think he's the most talented from compared to what the Panthers do have right now. Right now, the Panthers' secondary isn't the best. However, they are very young and developing. And I thought Trey Boston would, having just a little bit more experience than those guys, would be able to captain that secondary. And however, they released him. So to this point of them releasing Trey Boston is a big signal as for them loading up for Deshaun Watson, in my opinion. What would the trade package really look like if they did offer a trade for Deshaun Watson? Colin Cowherd has recommended that they offer Teddy Bridgewater, 3 first-round picks, and Christian McCaffrey, and to me that is a lot right there. Just because the Texans, yes, they do probably want a quarterback in return. Teddy Bridgewater is a pretty good quarterback compared to the backup they have. I think Teddy Bridgewater is either going to be one of the bottom quarterbacks in the league or the best backup in the league. So really, it's a fine line. However, I do think I would take Teddy over just a random backup. So I think that would be a good attraction point for the Texans. And, of course, the 3 first-round picks. And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey, arguably the best running back in the NFL when he is healthy. That is a huge upgrade. But for the Panthers, at what point are you giving up too much? Because if you're Deshaun, and obviously he has a no-trade clause, so he has to agree to be traded wherever he's being traded to before they go through with the trade. For him, if he goes to Carolina and there's no star running back, yes, there's a good receiving core, but it's a shaky offensive line. What is he really going for that is so much of a better upgrade than the Houston Texans? Yes, I guess he wants a new team for a cultural change as well, outside of talent. But at some point, he's got to see that winning is definitely a category and a factor that he wants to excel in. In Carolina, I don't know if he will excel in that right away, especially in that division where you got to face Tom Brady. Yes, Tom Brady will, at some point in time, we think, will retire. At this rate, he might play till 50, so I could be wrong. But at some point, I do think when Brady retires, Deshaun Watson would definitely own that division in the NFC South as he's on the Panthers. I think he would definitely own the division between the Buccaneers, Saints, and Falcons being the 3 other teams. So that is an attraction point in long term. I think 3-4 years, Brady should be gone by then. Hopefully, I guess. I'm a Bucs fan. I don't want him to ever leave, but for Deshaun's sake, hopefully, and therefore he will own the division. He will have a good receiving core in Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. Pretty solid receiving core all around. I mean, it's very deep. They all, I don't want to say similar, but all do feed off each other and have the similar skills in creating a good scenario where you could create separation and great game plans because they all have great similarities and qualities in their receiving game. And then on the offensive line, it's a little shaky. They have a good, it's not great in general. However, the left tackle, Russell Okung, a great offensive tackle in time, but lately he's obviously getting older and has injury history. That is not something really Deshaun wants to go deal with. He doesn't have a great offensive line in Houston outside of Laramie Tunsil. I don't think he wants to go somewhere where it's pretty much a similar situation. All he's really getting is an upgrade in receiving core. Now, if somehow, some way Christian McCaffrey is kept in Carolina, that's a huge advantage point for the Panthers. It might cost them an extra 2 first-round picks, so it might just be Teddy Bridgewater 5 first rounds versus Teddy Bridgewater 3 first rounds and Christian McCaffrey. So you had to really pick what's worth it then. But to me, Deshaun Watson, if I were him, the only reason I would want Carolina is because Christian McCaffrey is the sole reason I'd want to go there. Looking at the defense, it's not solid as well, just like Houston's isn't. There is some talent on that team. They have their 2 corners, Dante Jackson and Corn Elder, developing. However, they're still really young and might need a bit longer too to develop, so I don't know how big Watson's patience is, if he wants to win now, or if he's willing to wait a while to get this team to build up and emerge. Also at the linebacker position, they have Shaq Thomas and Tahir Whitehead. Shaq Thomas, definitely great, talented guy. He's kind of the captain of that defense, in my opinion, at least in the linebacking core, and then Tahir Whitehead is developing as well. And really, I do think it'd be cool if the Panthers had Trey Boston. They're, like I said, the safety I mentioned earlier, but clearly the reason Trey Boston's gone is possibly so they could get Deshaun Watson. It'll be interesting to see. To me, however, if they wanted to get rid of Trey Boston, why would you not just include him in the trade for Deshaun Watson? Because that would just also get rid of the cap space and give you an extra asset to give away rather than just releasing him and getting nothing for him, if that makes sense. So, looking at the three standpoints, the Texans, if they go through with that imaginary trade of what Colin Cowherd said, Teddy Bridgewater 3 firsts and Christian McCaffrey, that's pretty ideal. A lot of people are saying, if Matt Stafford's worth 2, Deshaun Watson's worth 4 or 5. Yes, that is true, but when you throw in a solid quarterback that can give your team a couple wins and arguably the best running back in the league, that kind of changes things a little bit. So I do think it is a fair trade for the Texans to accept Deshaun Watson. If I'm going there, yes, the receiving core is better than what he has in Houston. Not to say he has zero talent, because he has Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller, but it is definitely an upgrade. However, I just don't know if that's really a huge attraction point, like I said, between not much of a better team. The head coach is still brand new. This last year in 2020 was his first year being an NFL head coach. He used to coach at Oregon, and now he might be losing a star running back, and the offensive line and defense are not special at all, along with the fact of being in Tom Brady's division. And then, furthermore, if you are the Panthers, I guess no matter what, when there's one of the 4, 5, 6 best players in the NFL, no matter what the trade is, if you got one of the 4, 5, 6 best players in the NFL, I guess you could say you win that trade, but at some point you're giving up too much, you're selling your soul to the devil, too much is being given, and I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice Teddy Bridgewater, Christian McCaffrey, and 3 firsts for Deshaun, just because of the situation I'm in. They have too many blank holes for Deshaun and Watson to come in, and they just assume they're all fixed. That's not true. While Deshaun Watson would definitely upgrade this team, there's a lot of holes around this team, a lot of empty gaps that need to be filled, and Deshaun can't do absolutely everything. Therefore, if I and the Panthers, I would definitely look into this trade, but don't sell everything you have. Don't get rid of every single asset and big future that you got. I think they need to keep Teddy at least one more year. I don't think he's their franchise guy, but keep him one more year just so you get all your rookies, your second-year guys to emerge a little more, and then looking at a quarterback in the draft next year, or maybe look at a quarterback in the draft this year. Say if Trey Lance is still around at their pick. I just don't think giving up all these assets are worth it for the Panthers. Deshaun Watson, I don't think it's worth it for him, and I think the only winner in this situation is the Texans, and really the trade option I'm talking about, as in Teddy Bridgewater, the 3 firsts, and Christian McCaffrey, is very made up. Something different could change. Like I said, it could be Teddy Bridgewater and 5 firsts, Teddy Bridgewater, Christian McCaffrey, and Robbie Anderson and 2 firsts. So any trade can happen. Clearly, it's going to be up to the GMs and the 2 teams. Will be interesting to see. Final summary: I don't think it's worth it for Deshaun Watson. I don't think it's worth it for the Panthers, and I do think it would probably be worth it for the Houston Texans. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I want to know your guys' opinions. Do you agree with me? So on and so forth. That is it for the video. But for the question for the video, the all-time leading rusher in yards for the Carolina Panthers is Jonathan Stewart. However, if Christian McCaffrey stays a Carolina Panther for his entire career, I think he will surpass him. Thanks for watching, guys. 2-minute warning.